happened? Come on. Chop, chop.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
Coronavirus. Go.
Hey, I said I'm sick on the track. Call me coronavirus. I'm an aspiring artist.
But I'm big.
But I'm big. There's no laughing.
Yo, what it do, cousins? It's your boy Benny Hunnits, and I'm with the Funk is Real as always. Welcome to the village. We have got some hot shit to talk about this week as always. We alive, thank God. No corona for me.
No corona for me neither. We could cheer a corona to that.
Yeah. Cheers if I was drinking.
Yeah, neither one of us are. You should try that shit too, you alcoholics out there.
Come on now, get healthy, get better with your life. But yeah, this coronavirus is apparently serious. Apparently these motherfuckers eating bats done turned some shit into some shit, and now we all gonna die.
Plain and simple. Eating that bull. You know what I'm saying?
They said it came from some sort of it was animals, right? I don't fucking know. That's what I'm hearing.
So allegedly it started in China.
Okay.
And in a certain market where they have wild animals that they sell for people to buy and eat is allegedly where they are saying that's where the first remnants of the virus is found.
Yeah.
From the bats and the rats that people are buying and eating, all that dog, cats, and anything else that they can find in this market.
This is fucking
I've actually seen pictures of this market, and it's very disturbing, bro. It's like you're walking down, it's just like a big it's like the farmer's market. It's just it's selling you a bat. Like, I don't want that shit. Like,
what the fucking fried bat, nigga?
And all I can see is like I'm imagining Rush Hour 2. Remember when Chris Tucker walking by and a man tried to give him the chicken? I go there, it's like he tried to kill. No, don't kill the chicken. It's like, don't kill the bat, don't kill the rat. Oh God, I don't want that.
Yeah, bro, but they do, and they love it. I seen a video. I think it was on Instagram, and it was like a little girl. She was enjoying the shit out of this fried bat. That shit is not okay. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I guess we can't be culturally intolerant, but come on now. We can't be eating no bats and cats and shit, bro. I'm sorry. Roaches and shit.
Rats almost wiped out a whole population a few centuries ago, if people don't remember the bubonic plague.
Yep, they don't remember shit.
Rats is a premier disease-infested carrion rodent. Like, I don't know why you would eat that.
Yeah, I don't know either, bro. But here we are. My bad. So, I'm sorry, guys. My phone went off. I'm an idiot. But hey, I don't know why they're eating that shit either. Apparently, there's thousands of cases in China, and of those thousands of cases, hundreds of people have died, and mostly are elderly or kids, which tends to be who passes away from diseases, right? Because they have the weakest immune systems, the elderly and the young ones.
And they got I think it's up to 500 deaths so far.
500?
At least, yeah, reported. I think in China. I'm not sure if anywhere else, but in China for sure, about 500 reported deaths in the last few
500,
weeks.
Okay. It's like 0.0000003% or some shit of the population.
Yes. So, but they're trying to sustain it because, the big issue when you have disease and virus outbreaks is that if you don't have a cure and answer to it, it could spread fast, and then it's everybody getting sick, and now we don't know how to stop this shit, and now all these other people getting sick and people getting spreading and people dying. Now everybody's a zombie, and now this nigga eating somebody's face. The shit can get out of hand, dog. I've seen this enough times on
too many movies
and TV shows,
video games. Fuck.
I'm a conspiracy theorist at this point, right?
Bro, there's a video game. Not video game. It was a board game. Was it called Illuminati? It was some sort of board game that talked about, it like went through all these different things that could happen in the world. On it, Donald Trump becoming president was one. 9/11, there was so much weird shit that was on this fucking board game. I can't remember what it was called. I know somebody who's listening is going to remember this shit because we had it. You can even look it up. I don't want to... Was it called the Illuminati? It was a card game / board game.
We're going to have to check that.
Yeah, but then it had like some sort of crazy fucking flu disease wiping us out. And here we are.
Oh yeah, that's kind of creepy. But every year seems to be presented with a new disease, right?
Yeah.
1 year it's Zika, 1 year it's Ebola,
SARS, swine flu.
swine flu. Shit, you name it. It's probably I don't know. We can go through a whole year, decade worth of viruses and diseases that drop, right?
Yeah.
But which ones are gonna stand the tell of time? It's like an album. They hot for the moment, but then them hoes fall off. Ain't nobody really checking for it.
Ain't nobody checking for swine flu right now.
Ain't nobody looking for it. They got 60 million people quarantined in China. If for people who don't know how many 60 million is, imagine if everybody in California and everybody in Texas was quarantined.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot of damn people.
Bro, we got 300 million? That is 1/5, 20% of this entire country.
Yeah.
That is fucking insane. And yet,
lockdown.
It's barely a percentage point over there.
Right. So all these people, and the thing is, Chinese travel the most out of everybody, hell, because they're most of everybody.
Yeah.
So the thing is spreading pretty quick. So if you've been overseas recently and you coming back talking about you got the flu, or I'm not feeling well, you need to stay your ass indoors, quarantine your own damn self.
How many cases are here? Do you know in the U.S.?
Man, so recently Wisconsin being the 12th state to report a case. So that tells you right now it's been 12 states that has some type of corona. As far as in Texas, I know Texas has.
My understanding is that coronavirus was actually common before. Like Lysol wipes used to say prevents from coronavirus.
That's always been a thing then.
Yeah, it's always been a thing, but it wasn't. I don't know what this adaptation or what's going on now that makes it different.
That's evolution.
Yeah. Because diseases evolve too. Yeah. Or I keep saying diseases, viruses, infections, shit.
They evolve.
That is fucking scary, bro. Yeah. I came back from Ethiopia sick. Remember that?
This nigga sitting right across from me talking about
my hey, bro, I must got that immunity or whatever, the antidote in my blood, because I'm good.
Oh yeah, we African, we straight. We don't.
That shit almost killed me, bro. Nani tried to say that we don't get the flu. I said, what are you talking about? She said, you must have brought that shit to Ethiopia. Ethiopia don't get the flu. All right, I guess.
Nah.
I said, hey, man, we blessed, but we ain't that goddamn blessed.
Nah, ain't enough of that to stop that.
Yeah, bro. That shit's scary. But hopefully they, obviously, it's not a joking matter for the people who've passed away. But for the most part, try to do your best. Wash your hands, wash your ass. Make sure if people cough and run away. Do the best you can. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they coughing on everybody out here.
Yeah, get you one of them little masks. Hide your shit.
Bro, the fucking mask Kennedy made.
That shit was funny, dog.
Our mans at work made a mask of napkins, 2 key rings, and some rubber bands, and wrapped that shit.
Boy, don't walk right by me like he just like this was just normal.
I was like, bro,
what's going on, guys? What you mean? What's going on? What is going on? What do you have on your face?
What the fuck is that, bro? I had customers asking me. I actually wanted somebody who I was working with. She looked at him. She's like, I guess she works in a hospital. She's like, does he think that's gonna help? I was like, shit. If it helps his mind, I guess that's all that matters.
What you don't know, brother, is the virus is mental.
It's mental. Put the hat on. Mental.
I'm like that little meme, yo.
It's in
He
here.
got that kufi on his head. Said, yes, right here. It's all in there. And I got the middle of my forehead. My third eye beaming right now. I've been woke, bro. It's coming.
Yeah, bro. Good luck with that, guys. Stay safe, bro. For real. But yeah, speaking of deadly ass shit, Trump just got acquitted. This is Wednesday. What is this? January 5th, 6th?
February 5th.
Oh shit!
He was a month away. You're not in Ethiopia no more.
I'm back, right?
Get back to the American calendar.
Yeah, February 5th, and Trump literally was just acquitted a few hours ago. And for those of you who don't know what the fuck that means, it means the impeachment didn't do enough. Clearly.
Tell him one more time.
It didn't do enough. He was impeached, but he wasn't removed. Kind of like Bill Clinton, He got impeached, but the Senate didn't vote him out.
And so this is the third time in history this happened. Bill Clinton one time, and then back in the 1800s this happened.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. This is it. This is it, bro. He's
so
here.
What happens at this point? So he doesn't get removed, so he still finishes out the remainder of his term, right?
Yeah, and he's gonna run for another one. Right. You heard them chanting 4 more years.
Which basically brings us to the State of the Union address last night.
Yes.
that not sure if all of you folks out there had a chance to catch it or at least catch up on it, but you might want to.
Yeah.
It is the State of the Union.
It is the speech of the entire country.
Yes.
Where are we at?
For all our American villagers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be quite honest, if America's thinking about doing some crazy shit, the whole world needs to know. So it's smart if a lot of people pay attention to the State of the Union.
Eyes are always on us.
Yeah, facts. But yeah, so Trump was in his bag, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a Trump fan, but for what it's worth, he was talking his shit. You could tell it was like a campaign rally in D.C. He was pulling out all his bags of tricks. He had all sorts of people he called out that were in the crowd. A majority of them was black, if you notice, like people he was honoring. Did you notice that? The
Tuskegee Airmen.
The Tuskegee Airmen. Well, the Tuskegee. First, it was the kid, right?
Oh, yeah, the kid.
So it was the young kid who said he wanted to grow up and be the. When I say first, I mean between these two. I'm gonna start all the way in order of black people he started honoring, right? The first guy was a senator, junior senator out of South Carolina, Republican, named is it Tim Scott? His last name's Scott, and he actually came up with the concept of opportunity zones, which was the idea. Well, I'm not sure. I'm sure he didn't make the concept up, but he brought it and got it, helped get it pushed and signed into law, which. Basically, the idea is create these opportunity zones all around the country. Opportunity zones being places that are underdeveloped or impoverished communities, and using whether it's tax revenue or private funds to build those places up. That's the idea, anyway. And so Trump was like, "You black man, you helped you are our modern day Robin Hood," and you fucking, and he honored him, and he was like, "Good job," with the thumbs up, and the guy was like, "Thank you," with the thumbs up back,
Good job, nigga.
I heard you did good. So he did that, and he was all, "Oh, thank you," and so I bring this up because I feel like he was just pandering to black folks, right? And then the next guy was this gentleman, and I honestly forgot his name, but he was ex-military, got out of the military, suffered, like a lot of ex-military, suffered from drug addiction, and came out, and he was just like, he was addicted to drugs and blah, 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 blah. But now he is, and just like listed off all these great things he's doing now, and no longer doing drugs. And I just remember the camera was on him as he was talking about all the good shit he was doing. And he was like, no longer on drugs.
I was not a crackhead no more. I was not sucking dick for crack no more.
That nigga was like, all right, bro, you didn't have to mention it a second time. Like, shit. I could see his face. He was like, all right, But then he got up and shit. He was like, that's me. I'm good. I'm a positive impact on society now. No more crack for me. And then, and then he goes to this kid. And the kid was like super light skinned, and I think his mama was white. So whoever around him was white. So I was like, I think he gotta have some black in him though, because his name was super like ethnic. So and then he's talking about how this kid he was like top of his class. He goes to some military academy.
I think he's a Venezuelan kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Makes sense, right? And so he was honoring this kid, and he was saying about how he wants to be in, Space Force. Yeah.
Space Force.
Space Force, right? Because they just opened, for all you motherfuckers that don't know, we don't just got an Army, a Navy, an Air Force, and the Marines. Nigga, we got a Space Force.
We bringing it to every and any planet that want to smoke. All you aliens.
What's up, Jupiter? You think you big and shit? You think because you the biggest planet in the goddamn galaxy, you think we can't fuck with you, dog? Trump coming for that heat.
We coming. Space Force.
Bitches. So the kid apparently wants to be in Space Force, and his quote was something to the extent of, while everybody is looking up in space, I want to be looking down at Earth. I was like, you cocky little son of a bitch. But I liked it because I
liked it too.
Yeah, I like that shit. I was like, hell yeah, I've always wanted to say that. I always wanted to be one day like not a professional astronaut, but just go into space just so I could look down and be like, that's Earth, that's the rest of you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I thought that was cool. And then sure enough, he honors his great granddad, who was the last remaining Tuskegee Airman. And then he just honored him as being a brigade, or however you pronounce that shit, brigade general, like a general basically.
Brigade general.
Yeah, exactly. Pinned him up, put the stars on him and everything, and so that made the military guy. Because the military guys, if you ever watch them during the State of the Union, they just like stiff, but them niggas was all happy and clapping and shit, yeah, saluting and shit. So that was exciting, and kudos to him, honestly though. We love to see brothers get honored, and he just turned 100 in December. So that was a big deal. And yeah, so the State of the Union was interesting in that regard. It was a lot of pandering, a lot of mistruths, if you will, some off truths. They say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. He be forgetting about the whole truth and nothing but the truth part. He just be, he was like a little truth with a little bit of bullshit, and you believe.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You always got to go back and fact check everything that man says.
Yeah.
It's got thousands of lies.
Yeah.
And of course, it was no different this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Like the big one that always comes to me is the pre-existing condition shit, because if you was really like for protecting people with pre-existing conditions, you would not be so against ACA, the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. And that one always baffles me, because they're still trying to strip that down. They haven't been able to like tear it down all the way, but piece by piece they're trying to take it apart. And so one of the only things that's left is pre-existing conditions. So what is your beef, bro? Like, why is he trying to shut down the Obamacare so bad? Just because they call it Obamacare? It's really called the Affordable Care Act. It's an act. You know what I'm saying? It ain't named after his ass. The Republicans made that shit up.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, little fibs here and there. But I say he was in his bag because, you can't deny the stock market being higher than it's ever been, and some statistical stuff about jobs and this, that, and the other. And it's funny how that works. One of the things I was thinking about too is how, like, a lot of the people with the power to hire and the power to, employ and move their money out there, depending on who's in office, won't do it for statistics. Like, I remember my dad during Obama's tenure, he used to do a lot of like, he retired from his engineering job, and he was doing like high-end driving, like limo driving and stuff like that. And I remember this guy telling him like, while this guy's in office, I'm just not going to hire anybody. Like, straight up, he was a Republican. And he was like, why? I'm not going to hire, not only like not hire black people, he's like, I ain't going to hire people. Like, in a way, like, that's like his way of stepping on the scales of like politics, is saying, well, I can at least fuck up his statistics by, the unemployment rate. Like, what does he care? Less employees, he's keeping more money. So it's just interesting. But yeah, the State of the Union was it was a lot of campaigning, and they also had some criminal justice reform that they talked about. Like with that's how they brought the other guy in, by the way. Was because they got a program which allows felons to like work, and like actually gives a lot of money to people who are like second chance companies, and people do deserve a second chance. I'm with that shit. I'm with the opportunity zones too. If it's legitimate, like if they're actually doing that. And so when he does stuff like that, but it was easy to tell, because literally everybody he honored was a minority. And I just felt like it was super strategic. Like, literally everybody who got up, or the young girl who was trying to get into a charter school, right? And they were trying to push the agenda of like charter schools versus like terrible public schools. You know what I'm saying? And so, in an effort to push that agenda, basically he brings this girl out who had applied for a charter school and couldn't get in, and basically just, I'm assuming through somebody he know money, or maybe it's the government's money, funded her, like got her into the charter school. Like he pulled whatever strings he could to do that, and then use that as an example to say, hey, we need to get 1 million more kids. And so, I'll tell you what, for somebody who people say is not too bright, he's got this politics shit down, in my opinion. Like, I think he knows what he's doing. And now I think he's trying to branch out from his base. Like, he's like leveraging the base that he had, which is going to give him that foundation. And now he's going to get, because you only need a few. You only need a couple.
Why he was going after the black people so tough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm always critical about everything Trump says. Once he opens his mouth, I don't believe half the shit that comes out of his mouth. I already immediately go back to like, man, let's fact check some of this stuff. Like I wait for the fact checks to come out because they're gonna dissect the whole speech. They have the whole transcript of it. Granted, if we do recall, Pelosi, as soon as the end of the speech, ripped his speech up.
Yep, she did.
Right? She even said something along the lines of, he shredded the truth, so I shredded his speech.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah, she told House Democrats in a closed room meeting that they had afterwards.
Oh wow, so much for closed room though. The fact that it got out and you're reading it.
Yeah, right. So this is what the other attendees in the meeting were, I guess, telling in reports and things of that sort.
Yeah.
So, because there was a lot of tension. You could cut the tension with a knife between them two.
Yeah,
and which is kind of crazy, especially in a time. What I didn't like about Trump is that. His speech, it did put, I felt like it's putting Democrats now like on their toes to, you guys better act quick or there's about to be another 4 years of this because
big facts.
Because he still pandered, I feel like, to his base in a way, but of course trying to reach out to these other areas where he can still kind of pick and point at like different bases, like the black people. Pointing at criminal reform, like the HBCUs.
Oh yeah, that was another one, right? Funding the HBCUs.
All of these things that would perk up black interest and actually kind of draw the attention towards them, right?
I mean, it's kind of funny because people talk about and get mad at Obama because of the fact that they were like, what's your black agenda? Like, what did you actually do for black people individually? And so if Trump go out there and say, I mean, he does, we've all figured out he don't give a fuck, right? He gonna do whatever. And he's gonna do it for his best interest. In this case, his interest is to get reelected. So I don't necessarily, I think he's crazy. Like, I think that I don't necessarily want someone who can't be like, who doesn't have a sense of like order. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of just does whatever he wants. Like that's what makes it's just scary for him to be president, right? Yeah. But at the same time, if he wants something to get done, he is definitely the type of person to bend whatever rules, not break though. That's why they can't charge him with shit. Because he bends things. He don't necessarily break the rules.
No, he's definitely broken the rules. He used Russia and Ukraine, all of this outsourcing to help with the election, rig the election. That's right. Criminal.
Is it?
How is that not criminal?
I mean, how is it? How's he? If it was criminal, he'd be convicted.
Well, yeah, we have this thing where you let the Senate vote and happens to be a Republican majority. Shit.
Yeah.
What do you mean he did what? It's like they came out with them hundreds of pages to indict him, and their response was, but a mere like not even an eighth of it, like defending it. They knew it. They like, we can't defend this shit. Yeah. We'll try our best in areas where we might have an opportunity to. Even like Romney. Romney was the only Republican because he even said, I don't know if I'm just in a completely different world. I don't know what world me and my other Republican counterparts are sitting in where I'm hearing one thing and you guys are, this is clearly guilty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. All the evidence points at it, but yet, we have to, we're remaining true to the base or whatever, and we're gonna just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I actually wasn't thinking about what he's done as president. I was thinking like beforehand. All the things his whole ascension to where he is now has been about finessing the system, right? Always, whether it's
the bankruptcies,
finding ways not to pay his employees. You know what I'm saying? Like, he always does all this shit.
And what makes you think he won't do the same thing as a president again?
Exactly. That's my concern. It's like, like he's always. It's less about like I don't think he's stupid. I actually think he's actually really smart. That's the thing about it. It's just like his intent, like the shit he wants to do is just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't trust him, But as far as executing whatever his plans are, he knows how to do it, or he knows how to hire the right lawyers to get it done. You know what I mean?
The problem is, it's like he'll go up there and tell you everything is all nice and peachy when it's really not.
Oh yeah, that's all.
That's
bullshit.
The problem. It's like you just go up there and economy great, jobs got lots of them. Yeah. Manufacturing, It's booming. It's like, no, it's not. Like,
Nigga, we don't make shit here.
We don't. Like, why are
Yeah.
you lying to people, dog?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
people
yeah.
on the floor, people on the ground can feel it. You know, the people who are actually in these conditions can actually feel
Yeah,
like
the people who actually work those jobs.
they understand. They know,
Yeah.
like, nigga, stop lying to me.
Yeah.
And what's really annoying to me is how you pander with these, like, the black people. You bring out all this black agenda, this, that, and that, right? You say all of this thing. But in the same time, you go and you honor Rush Limbaugh, the highest civilian
the Medal of Freedom.
Medal of Freedom. Like,
Yeah.
it's the highest honor a civilian can
Yep.
be awarded in our country.
Yep.
To Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And for folks who don't know who Rush Limbaugh is,
Let him know, Big Funk.
he is, I guess, a big time, I wouldn't even call him conservative. He's like super right wing. I'm talking about he's off the right cliff.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a radio host, a very significant figure to a lot of the right wing people. And of course, he's a very disrespectful racist dude. I say, plain and simple, that motherfucker racist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll even read some of the quotes from Rush Limbaugh, right? One of the quotes he said, which I remember this too, he said, I mean, let's face it, we didn't have slavery in this country for over 100 years because it was a bad thing. Quite the opposite. Slavery built the South. I'm not saying we should bring it back. I'm just saying it had its merits. For one thing, the streets were safer at dark. Like,
Jesus.
this is the guy who has the highest civilian Medal of Honor. It's
Damn.
the same guy. Like, I don't
Jazz
understand.
Hoss. Can you
He's-
imagine?
He's been blatantly racist with black people. Like, the things he says about black people is beyond me. What's another thing? He says, have you ever noticed how all composite pictures of wanted criminals resemble Jesse Jackson? And he said, you know who deserves the posthumous Medal of Honor? James Earl Ray. And for those who don't know that's the confessed assassin of MLK.
Jesus.
We miss you, James. Godspeed.
That's what he said?
Yes. This is Rush Limbaugh. This is the highest Medal of Honor. This is the highest Medal of Honor right here.
Yeah, Medal of Freedom.
Medal of Freedom.
To Rush Limbaugh, this dickhead.
Yeah, and this is all within the same speech of, yes, we're gonna give you little black colleges some money. Hey, nigga, thanks for the ski flying planes. Cool. Hey, nigga, I'm glad you stopped smoking crack. Hey, little nigga, hey, to the moon and back, baby. You know what I'm saying? Rush, my man.
You number one.
You number one, baby. You the best American in this country. Greatest American.
Shit.
You do your country a civil justice every day.
Damn.
That's who we got
Like
up
I
there.
said, he's fucking crazy.
Fucking nuts, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I'm listening to the speech and everything he's doing is getting washed away by his mere actions while he does it, which blows my mind. He does it every time.
Yeah. It's just like he is a walking paradox.
It's like, what am I watching? Is this a joke right now?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, it's Trump. We had to say it. I mean, shit, it's a big part of the country. It's a big part of what's going on. But it's predictable. He's fucking crazy. That's
Nut job, guys.
yeah. And
But you know who has to go visit the White House next, right?
who is that?
The
Your boy?
Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, sir.
That's what they need to start asking him. What are you gonna do now?
I'm going to the White House. Fuck it.
Damn.
Yeah,
I wonder
man.
how many people are gonna sit out on that trip.
A lot. We'll see. I don't think Patty will though. I think he'll go.
Patty going.
Yeah, he going for sure. But Patrick Mahomes, Patty Mahomes boy,
Big Patty Mahomes.
Big Pat's third black quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Can you name the other two?
Oh, Doug Williams.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh man.
Uh-huh.
It's recent too.
Gotta be.
Why can't I think of this black man?
His name is Russell Wilson.
Wilson. Damn, there it is. I was like, why am I forgetting? All the girls listening. Oh my God, I see Era's husband. Yes.
Yeah, that nigga, Big Russ. Dangerous.
Dangerous.
But yeah, man, Patrick Mahomes, bro, your boy did it. Texas Tech Red Raider, man. He brought it home.
Hey, first starting quarterback from a Texas college to win a Super Bowl.
Hot damn, Bobby.
Yes,
Good
let
job.
that be known. So sorry to all you Longhorns, Aggies, and everybody else that's irrelevant because you don't have a Super Bowl quarterback. Wouldn't know the feeling. Sorry, you can't sit with us. Ain't enough room on this bus. Big rings, baby.
Yeah, man, he's gonna have a big ring for the big team, man. But yeah, man, I'm shout out to him. He did it in historic fashion, just like he's been doing it, falling down in the game, double digits, and then comes back in the fourth quarter
Like a true champ.
like a champion, man,
A fearless champion.
a fearless champion. Shout out to him and shout out to his coach, man, Andy Reid, and the offensive coordinator that needs to go ahead and get a fucking head coaching job, black man. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Not enough of those going around in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I hope you're listening, Roger Goodell.
Yeah, he ain't listening to shit.
Nah, hell nah. He said the villages. Ah, man, I live in a mansion, bitch.
No, I wouldn't think about that. Just the fact that we talking about black people should do better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nigga, go run the ball. Shut up, nigga, and dribble.
Yeah, but do you think that Patrick should have been the MVP over Damian Williams, though, the running back? Because that nigga is really the one who brought it home.
I would think he does just because of what he was able to pull off at the end of the game in the last couple quarters.
Yeah.
With the big plays. He had to use his arm to bring them back. Because at the end of the day, once you're down, you gotta rely on your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
And the quarterback was throwing him the ball.
yeah, that's true. Damian Williams was balling. He balled.
I wouldn't
out.
have been mad with a co-MVP.
Yep. All right, cool. I'll take that.
I would have took that. I guess I'm just speaking in my Texas Tech bias.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. Elise apologizes. Not really. But
I'm trying to find the fucking because I feel terrible.
Which one?
I'd mentioned the black man name and I can't find it. And I mean,
Doug Williams?
No, the coach, the offensive coordinator. I know it's his last name.
You just gotta Google Kansas City offensive coordinator.
I know. I did coaching staff. I overthought it.
That boy, that
Offensive. Hold on.
man.
Coordinator.
So one thing I'm very excited about with this Super Bowl, I didn't get to really watch the commercial, so I'm gonna go back.
By the way, Eric Bieniemy. That's his name. Hey,
his name is Eric Bayena.
Eric Bieniemy.
Oh man,
Yeah, bro. That's my guy now. I don't know how I forgot his name, but now I know
you
it.
can't forget Eric Bayena.
Eric Bieniemy. That's his name.
Bieniemy.
Bieniemy. I'm gonna meet him up. Hey, bro, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh,
He's like,
man.
what's your name? Bieniemy. He's like, all right. What's your name? No, that's my name. Bieniemy.
Hey, it's Bieniemy.
That's tight. But yeah, man, Eric Bieniemy needs a job as a head coach, not as an offensive coordinator. At least a damn interview, something. Shit. But yeah, bro. Black quarterbacks, man.
Black quarterbacks, and which is great because if you have not known already what this month is, it's February. What is February? Black
History Month. Yes.
And don't get it twisted. It's Black History Month 365.
Yes, but this is the month that even the white people celebrated as Black History Month.
They have to acknowledge it.
And this year it's one day longer. Hey.
Oh, yeah. You better tell your white counterparts that. Don't you forget it.
But yeah, man, Black History Month. So we feel like it's only right that we get into some blackity black shit. We talk about some real black content in regards to blackness, right? Especially with Patrick Mahomes winning. There was definitely some rumors, I would say some bullshit that was going around talking about, whether he calls himself, black or considers himself black. You had the whole shit with the Trayvon Martin.
Oh, yeah. Those tweets that surfaced from the time. From
Zimmerman when he was saying, you can't call him guilty until he's guilty, which is, I guess, literally a fact. But it wasn't the best thing to be saying at the time, And of course, everything resurfaces because people don't delete shit off Twitter, which blows my mind. I be deleting shit, even though the feds archive it. For the record, at least people can't just search it.
Who the hell goes back and find? Who found that from that many years ago? Like, who was going back and searching Pat Mahomes?
You'd be surprised, bro. People literally. So there's a couple ways. You could just keep scrolling and go all the way back until you find some shit, or you could
That's a lot of scrolling.
Yeah, or you could literally type in their name and then type in a keyword, and it'll just pop up.
What are you typing in, Zimmerman?
Yeah.
Trayvon, like, damn, you're just using every hot button word. Like,
yeah,
geez.
people were waiting for some shit, but he is no matter how light skinned or mixed he is, at the end of the day he is black, and that kind of begs the question, right? As we get into our main theme, that which concludes our opening segment there of blackness in general for Black History Month, and what does it mean to be black, right? What defines a black person? Back in the day, right? In this country, it was the one drop rule, right? If you got any bit of black in you, you black. You know, right? And then we get into current times where it's like societal. Some people consider mannerisms to be black, or words, or tone, or dress, right? So the question really begins with, what does it mean to be black? And then we can kind of go into all sorts of different things we deal with, whether it's complexion and colorism, and being African versus African American and all that. So we got a lot to talk on. It's probably going to take us a couple of weeks. We might go all month with this one. Who knows? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. This could be a running Black History Month segment.
Hot damn, Bobby.
God damn.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, so I guess I'll ask you first. What do you feel like? What does it mean to be black to you?
That's a tough question to answer in the sense of what.
Or you can ask me. I'll start if you don't mind.
Oh,
or
go
if you
for
don't,
it.
if it helps you.
No, go for it.
Because my definition is so simple.
Go. What is it?
It's so simple.
Tell me.
If your genetic makeup, okay, if your what's the word? Descendants.
Yeah.
Come from Africa, and I don't care which was mama side, daddy side, granddaddy side, have any descendants from Africa, and that brought about your skin some melanin, you're black. That's it. It's simple.
That's simple. I was okay. I was like, I didn't know how technical we had to go. Like, when you break it down, brother.
Yeah, right. No, like for real, for me, because first of all, the whole race shit, black, white, all that is made up, right? So if we just gonna put people in boxes, I'm gonna simplify the damn box, right? If you are of any African descent, right, that means your ass can be Brazilian. Guess what? That's where the majority of the trade went to, was in Brazil, not even in America, right? All them motherfuckers, in my opinion, is black. You know what I'm saying? You could be in Europe talking about femme and all that shit you be talking about. Your ass is black, okay? Even we black. Now, black is a tree, okay? Now, on that tree, you got very many branches, okay? Now, there may be some branches of black, but it's all black.
Yes.
That's just my opinion on black.
I concur. I do agree with this definition of black.
Yeah.
Your blackness spreads out in different shapes and forms, and whichever branch it's peeking and peering out of, man, hot damn, Bobby, you are black.
You black.
At the end of the day, bro, black is black, man.
And black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is, like you were saying earlier, Africans and being black, and you're Brazil, all of these people. I'm Afro-Latino. I am African-American. I am African. All these different forms of black. Why is it just not black? And now we kind of, like you said, I'm simplifying the box.
Simplify the box.
At the end of the day, when you simplify the box, black is black.
I just put the people in the box.
Now, if you want, like you said, if you want to break it down and, expand on the box, that motherfucker
we can put some boxes in some sections, right? Because I know, especially us growing up, right? First generation Americans, right? So we can get into our little box right now, So
like the East African box, right?
Oh shit, that's a box in the box.
For instance,
because
I've seen this recently. It always happens to surface in social media at some point around these times, right?
Okay.
I'm not black, I'm East African, or I'm not black, I'm something of African descent, right?
Or it's put on us. In my experience, it's not necessarily not only just East Africans saying it, it's other people saying
you're not black.
You're not black. You're this, you're that because of the region you're from. Yeah. Look at your hair. Look at the way your nose looks. Look at your eyes. You aren't black. You're blank.
It's like, what?
Bitch, I'm confused.
I'm confused now at this point. I'm looking at myself like, damn, am I not black? What color? Because, I am a mocha with hazelnut and a dash of caramel. So
here we go.
I guess I'm technically not black.
Yeah, but to me, in my opinion, all that's black, right? But here's where the confusion comes from, right? Black in itself, the idea of being black, quote unquote black, starts here, right? Yeah, I mean, niggas wasn't calling themselves black before we got here. We wasn't calling ourselves niggas before we got here, right?
Everybody's black in Africa.
Right. So it's not like you go over there and be like, oh, you black and you black. And no, nigga, everybody is black. So black is the default setting. Okay. Yeah. It's black. Okay. So then it's more so regional or tribal, if you want to use that term. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. If you're in Nigeria, you could be, Igbo or Yoruba or whatever other ones they got over there. You know what I'm saying? In Ethiopia, it could be, oh, you're Amara, you're Tigray, you're, this, that, or the other. You got different sections, right? But at the end of the day, there was no huge lumping of one category because it was unnecessary. Like at the end of the day, it wasn't like a thing. Then you come here, and because there's race is used as a tool, right? As a tool to separate and set up different classes.
Like a hierarchy almost.
A hierarchy, exactly. Then you get black. You get, okay, we're white, and then you look up the dictionary definition of white, pure, of good intent, yes. Blah, 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 blah.
And you can almost use it as a color scale, going from white to black.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on where you fall on that scale is almost kind of like your hierarchy, when you say, like,
yeah.
If you're a light-skinned black person, you are more likely kind of in a better position than somebody of a darker complexion.
Exactly. So, and then that's why people get into their own little shits about who's black, and then black people start fighting with each other of, oh, you not black,
you only half,
or you light skinned, or you got, white people features and blah, 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 blah. So that's all that to me is all bullshit. It's all cap. It's all people not realizing the mind game that's being played on you right now, right? So that's why I like to make it super, super simple and say anything that comes from any sort of African descendants is black, right? Because if you're going to use the definition, then that's like, if you're going to define yourself and say that, if we're going to acknowledge blackness as being a thing, then that's how you have to define it. But I think that's where the mix-up comes, because to get back to what you were bringing up, that definition came about mostly because those who were considered black, at least at the beginning of what is now known as black, they had their actual identity stripped away from them, right? These people in whether you were, whatever race you were in this country at the time, you were stripped down from that and you were put into a box of a black American, right? It wasn't even, you were hard R, let's just say that, right? And then it was like advancing out and out and out and out and out to where we are now. But when you're stripped away from your culture, black people, in my opinion, in this country are like, the most resourceful people, because, dog, created your own culture, created your own. That's why things get defined as black, is because nobody knows where this shit came from. So it gotta come from the people, black people, the people who doing it, people who sound like that and move like that and talk like that and dress like that. White people wasn't doing that shit. Asian people, Latino people, nobody was doing that shit. So that's why they say, oh, you acting black. So then you get into this dichotomy of the question again, which is, oh, what is black? Where I kind of believe what is now, what was created out of what is currently hip hop culture. Before hip hop, it was something else before that and something else before that, but it's kind of been absorbed now, in my opinion, by hip hop culture
as defining black culture.
Exactly. Because obviously hip hop, they say, born in the Bronx in the 80s, blah, 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 blah. But what came out of that has defined culture in this country overall. But the source of it being black people, it's like they're mirrored, like they're a parallel. They're tied together infinitely, right? So it's like separating the ethnicity from the culture, right? Or separating the lineage or whatever you want to call it from the culture. So then you get the other side of that, which is, let's say, our parents who came from Africa, who don't identify with that shit at all, then they're like, wait. You gonna call me black? But I'm not just black. I'm Ethiopian, or I'm Nigerian, I'm Eritrean, I'm Kenyan, I'm wherever the fuck I'm from. Like, I'm that. Yeah. But in my opinion, it's like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. So for people who don't understand that, a rectangle is anything with 4 right angles, right? So a square is technically a rectangle as well. But a rectangle is not a square because it's got to have equal sides, right? A little math trivia, okay? All right. So to me, that's where it becomes a little different. Just because you know where you're from, or doesn't take away from the fact that you're black. Right. You're still in the big box, but you actually know which little box you're into. Right?
That's the difference.
To me, that's the difference.
You could pinpoint where your blackness comes from.
Boom. There it is right there. Boom.
That's the only thing that separates us.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to what you were saying in American culture and separations within blacks and amongst Africans and everything, it's always been kind of subjected into the mentality. If you look back into historical times, right? Mm-hmm. We can track it back into when slaves were brought here, slaves on the plantation, mm-hmm. and how they separated slaves and treated ones better, to almost essentially where you almost hate each other, where you almost you almost hate one, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You have, what they would say, the house nigga. You got the light-skinned guy, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever. They would call him the house nigga, right? Because he would be treated better, because he was accepted more so, because he could blend in. Mm-hmm. There's even a word with Creoles that I've learned in the last couple of years that's called passe le blanc, which basically means these very light-skinned black people who could pass as whites. Right. And that was something that they had the advantage of.
One of our managers at work over in the U side.
Yeah.
The light dude, he's from Louisiana.
Yeah, he's passe blanc. If we were to go up to him and talk to him about it, he'll mention it, because I have a friend whose mom is very light skinned. If you saw her, compared her to her, you'd be very shocked. You'd be like, damn, you're like way darker than your mom. But that's just the Louisiana thing, right? But, that's when I learned about it, because another friend was like, oh, yeah, Passe LeBlanc. And then they started laughing because they knew what it was. So
crazy,
right? It's not like not that they don't see themselves black. Yeah. It's just that back then they would use that phrase because they had the advantage in a sense, right? They could kind of maneuver in society a little better. Yeah. They could hide their blackness if they wanted to. Yeah. Whereas nowadays, when you hide your blackness, you can't really hide your blackness. Suppressing, I guess, if you don't conform to like the vernacular of hip hop and talk slang or in a certain way, they'll try to lessen your blackness, as you don't define what black is, because you don't portray this sort of hip hop image. Like, you don't talk in a slang, you talk proper, you talk white. What is white? I don't know. Talking correct. I enunciate my words properly. That means you speak white, which doesn't make any sense. Right. That's another thing where white people have subjected your thought process to where you've already minimalized yourself in a mask form, right? Yeah. Now you're the dumber of the groups, right?
Yes, because you connected ignorance with blackness and intelligence, or being eloquent, to whiteness.
Yes. Yeah. Already subjecting ourselves to be beneath. Yeah. Facts. Which is never the case, right?
Never.
Big kings, dog. And that's and like you were saying, even with like Africans and stuff, it's not that they don't want to call themselves black, is they don't identify as a black American.
Exactly.
So to them, it's like when they got here, they had negative experiences with black Americans, right?
Yep.
Because some of them would make fun of, the lack of English or their accents or different, their cultures and their different things that, right?
Dog, I was born and raised here, and I got shit. You know what I'm saying?
You dealt with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got made fun of for, like, oh, look, your dad's pulling up in a shuttle. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, okay.
Or your name is just weird to say or pronounce, or you can't
butchered.
You know what I'm saying? Or, oh, wait, you don't eat pork? What are you? This, that, or the other? That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, well, so you're not black? It's like, no, I am black. We're Ethiopian, and you're like, so that's not black. Like,
the fuck you mean it's not black, bro? just because I know where I'm from, I'm not black. That was the shit that always blew my mind. Because people, you look at people say that I can blend in, right? Because my features aren't super, like, I'm not super Abisha looking. You know what I'm saying? But growing up, especially because I did have a little accent, because I was fucking never let out the house and shit when I was a kid. So, you can kind of tell, like, culturally, like, I was a little different than everybody else. But being like exposed to this idea that I wasn't black, and then by optically, like, when people just looked at me and said, "Hey, are you mixed or what are you?"
Mixed for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, "Oh, you got some sort of Cuban or something in you, or some Indian or something in you." You know what I'm saying? It was always something else. Like, nah, I'm just Ethiopian, bro. I mean, Ethiopia is a melting pot for people who don't know. It is like the melting pot of the Eastern Hemisphere. But no, I'm from a very specific country, and I know where that is because my parents just came from there about 10 years before I came about this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, bro. That shit always, it used to get me because, when you're young, you want to like conform, and you want to be a part of a group. You know what I'm saying? And then you get older, and it's like now everybody wants to be their own individual. It's like, oh shit, I was born this way. Like, I've been my own individual. This part's easy.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to get y'all to be like me, and just, hey, like, not only your own individual, but understand that you may be quote unquote black, but know where you really from.
Right.
You feel me?
And it's honestly, and now the narrative changes over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now as certain people of influence are starting to break through in different forms of media and reach a lot of different other people, they're able to actually see the connection. And of course, like you said, growing up with a lot of different Africans and black people, they're starting to realize that we're not so much different. And then you start noticing different forms of culture, black culture, and then you start connecting your own with theirs, and then you start seeing a connection amongst each other. Then you realize, wow, we're really not that far apart from each other. And where we are far apart from each other, I see a lot of the values that I wish that one or the other had, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of like my black American friends who see a lot of our culture, and they gravitate towards it. They love it. They love that sense of family and nurture and welcoming that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot different than some of the black culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those little differences amongst us kind of separate it, right?
Yep.
And which kind of is unfortunate too, with even like somehow Africans view black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is sometimes they even have a negative connotation just because of the things that is driven on media and television that they see often, right?
Yeah.
And even sometimes by the few interactions they have, and it's kind of unfortunate, right? You run into a few bad moments, and then you automatically start classifying people in that group, and which is ironic to me because Africans are the same damn way when it comes to shit back home, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to all these like ethnic and tribal separations and feuds, it's always, oh yeah, those people, they're always like that. That's such and such group, man. Those guys are crooks, man. And you start classifying everybody as a crook. One guy is your definition for millions of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because, you could say that tying back with Donald Trump, he's a representation of America. He's our president. He's the face of our country. So anytime he goes out there into the world and does his speeches and people see that, they're like, man, these Americans are on some other shit.
Yeah.
Because he speaks for America. Yeah. Right? Same thing. So I always think that's always been kind of an interesting little connection that I've kind of seen.
Yeah, and and it's also because consider, what our parents went through to get here, right? Your folks, even you, technically, you were born before they got here. So you were literally part of the migration.
I'm a refugee.
You know what I'm saying? You were. Now you're a citizen.
Yeah, big citizen.
But, like my mom technically was a refugee. And, just thinking about the fact that even if, like, my dad came here as a student. So even if you come however way you get here, it's like, regardless, when you got here, you didn't have shit. You know what I'm saying? And that whole generation came out here and got it out the mud. And look how many successful Abishas there are out there. Look how many successful immigrants in general there are out there, right? And they came out here with nothing. So imagine like having to come out the mud yourself, and then you see a group, right, that is already like torn down stereotypically, but then you yourself have went through whatever you went through to get where you are. You're like, bro, you were born into this. Like, you were born into this country, into these this, what's the word I'm looking for? Privilege, for lack of a better term. Like, you know, like, you have all the opportunity here.
You had a head start.
You had a head start. Like, I came here when I was 20. You know what I'm saying?
No English.
No nothing. And I'm over here.
No money.
No nothing, bro. And I came here and got it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
That's a big thing that
That's
makes
a huge thing,
and
bro.
I think that's what makes us, or I would say Africans and Americans are very different in their thought process, right? Because Africans see it exactly that way.
Yep.
We come here with no knowledge of this country.
Yep.
We're fresh off the boat. Yep. All we have is a dream and drive.
Nigga, what? We got hunger.
That's it.
And that's it, bro.
That's it.
We're
You
trying
just
to survive.
That's all they come here trying to survive, raise their kids, and get their kids into schools and pursue careers and whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
You got people who are coming from extremely unstable environments, countries mostly that are damn near falling apart. Right.
Yes. War torn.
You know what I'm saying? And so when
Poverty.
you get here, it's like, all right, what are they looking for? Stability. Like, we joke about it all the time, but we know that that's where the whole doctor, lawyer, engineer shit comes from. These are stable fucking, like, professions. You're going to need doctors at the end of the day. Yeah, sure, the doctors get a lot of money, but not all of them are surgeons and all that. You can be a family doctor,
healthcare.
Even if you're just, not just, but even if you're a nurse or doing anything within healthcare, right? That will always be relevant because people have to live, right? You know, the law is the law. Everything is based around the law, especially in this country, right? And an engineer, you're the future. You build every fucking thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the whole concept and mentality of that, of our, immigrant family, especially from Africa that come here, is that versus, when you're here in America and you grow up here in America, you've already kind of stability, unfortunately, is already conditioned to you. Like, bro, what who in the last 30, 40, like, was born in the last 30, 40 years know anything about instability? Now, they may know about poverty, right, and stuff like that, but from a political perspective, from a national perspective, like, your dreams have always been, like, what would you look at?
No, you didn't hear that?
No, what was that?
That's probably AMX hooting like an owl in the security system.
That shit crazy. But, like, everything has been given to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Abel, shut the fuck up. Abel is literally in a. This is what we have to deal with, guys. By the way, okay. This dude Abel, Professor AMX, is the grand hacker of the world. This dude, I don't even know where he is right now, but
he's watching us.
He's watching us through a camera system, and now he's talking through the system, interrupting our podcast.
It's either him or the Ukrainians, but I'm gonna chalk it up to him.
Yeah, it better be him. But but just getting back to the topic, the idea is when you're coming from a place that is like stability is a given, right? Right. So then now it's like, hey, I want to do whatever it is that I want to do. Right. I mean, and I don't say that. I'm not putting that on just black people. I'm like that. I was born and raised here. Like, shit. Dude, I could have been a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I'm looking at being one of those three right now. But at the end of the day, I've also explored the world. I've also took up many different internships and different jobs and creative fields and all this because, I mean, shit, I've got the privilege of being able to do so, right? So it's a completely different mindset. You know what I'm saying?
It's all a mindset.
It's all a mindset. And that's why one side, doesn't understand. Like, maybe even if they understand, they just don't agree. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, son, you could go out there and rap, but you're dumb. You're stupid. Like, why the fuck are you not going to be a doctor? Right. And the other side is like, yo, but I could literally just rap, or I could just what's the stereotypical shit that black folks got to do to make it out?
They either got to have a wicked jump shot or a 16th.
You feel me? Like you got to be playing with some sort of ball, or you better have some sort of microphone in your hand. You got to be either an artist or a comedian or basketball player. Yeah, or you got to sell drugs, right? So what does that tell you right there? You know what I'm saying? Like these are things that are expedient to an extent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like obviously the sports ones, you have to train your ass off for your whole life. But once you become an adult, you're either in that profession or you're not. You know what I'm saying?
It's a very small percentage.
It is a very small percentage, right?
Is it 1% make it?
If that. What are you talking about?
1%? That's out of college, though.
Right. Yeah. There's 300 people get drafted in the NFL every year, and there's 50 people getting drafted in the NBA every year.
That's way smaller than one.
So what's happening with the rest of you, with everybody else?
Overseas or nothing really.
Okay, so let's double the numbers for each sport. Yeah. You're still looking at 1,000 and 100. Actually, nobody else playing in football other than us. So, do you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like the odds are not really in your favor to go in that direction, but the idea of doing what you want, right, and spending the rest of your life doing what you want is just so appealing, and it's something that you've been told your whole life. Just whether it's because the media really paints this picture of celebrity and how these people are doing all this shit. So then you chase it. The whole city of Los Angeles lives off this, right? It's 90% of the people out there ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? But they are building the economy, you know what I'm saying? Or not, or pushing the economy with, being waiters and waitresses and doing whatever it takes to make it, right? Because that their dream is that top end thing. And it's just not the same with immigrants, bro. It's just not, because the what they had to go through to get here, and that's what blows my mind. Not to go back to Trump, but that's what blows my mind about like the perspective that they come from with immigrants. It's like, bro, immigrants are some of the most, like, when I say hungry, I don't mean literally like want food in their belly. I mean, everybody needs that. But I mean hungry as in like have the drive to really get it done and don't really want to do shit else. They want to work and go home. You know what I'm saying?
Like this perception of immigrants being criminals and all this negative connotation that's kind of being presented to the public is always mind-blowing to me, because I always think, what immigrants do you guys are talking of? Like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I always ask people who might be supporters of that shit, and I'm like, man, how many immigrant families do you know?
Right.
How many problems are they causing? Or do you know any of them to cause any problems? What are they typically doing? They just trying to work, get back to their family, stay out of the way. They not trying to do more than they need to.
Big facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Because again, like that's them living their American dream.
That's
like,
it.
Dog, where I came from, I didn't know if there was gonna be martial law the next day. I didn't know if we was gonna have an explosion or a war or civil war was gonna break out. You telling me I can go and work 40, 50 hours, or in many cases, because we turn in overtime, 60, 70 hours, multiple jobs, make all this money, and just peacefully go home?
Yeah.
You feel me? And I can do that for so many years, get my kids through school, and then retire? What?
Yeah. Even though they'll take, for those who have to take the shit jobs, they know it's a shit job. They might not. They're not happy they have to do it, but they're willing to make the sacrifice because they have families and mouths to feed.
Exactly.
Right. But that's what a lot of them are willing to do.
And be grateful.
Right.
Like and have pride in their work. Yeah. Versus us. I mean, I'm putting myself in the other category. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not other
category. I'm in the American category.
Yeah, I'm in the American category.
I want to do what I want. I hate my job. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck am I doing with my time and my life? You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is, but that is just that we're just barely, and this is why I feel like it's like we really are gonna take all month with this, because we're barely scratching the surface on a lot of this shit. But yeah, I think that at the end of the day, no matter what, I don't care what anybody says, right? You're black, you're blackity black. If you got any sort of descendants, any sort of linkage with Africa, how can you not be black? That just blows my mind. Because I mean, black is a made up thing, right? And that black is to represent people, at least in this country, who came from Africa, right? All right. Well, then that shit applies to everybody. Real simple. Real simple.
Hold on, but don't you white folks get it twisted running around nigga this, nigga that, just because you all come from Africa.
No.
No, you still
Not
come
that
from
far back.
yeah. You still
If you more than
derive.
what 3 steps removed, then you know. What I'm saying?
Yeah, you still derive from the Caucasoid Mountains. You, what? You don't get your. I like the cold looking ass.
Yeah,
I wear sandals in the winter.
bro, that shit blow my mind, bro. When I be seeing people in sandals and shorts out here with this weather, I'm like, what is going on?
Like
bro?
it started sleeting out here in Dallas, Texas, y'all. So I know for you guys who are in these colder up north areas, it's not that cold. It's only 35. Shut up, man. It's cold for us, okay?
Yeah.
Sub-Saharan East African descendants, okay? We don't do anything.
We don't know
below,
this shit, okay?
All right, anything below 75, okay? I'm in panic mode.
But I think way good, way
my
good.
God, the sky is falling. What? Shit. So,
Yeah, man.
So
But I think there was as far as tying things, because again, we're gonna continue this next week. I think we're gonna get more into kind of what like I don't want to say separates, but what the different things are between the idea of we've established what black is, right? So then there's like there's lifestyle differences of African versus African American, and then there's just idea of the duality we live in, right? But there's always been things that connect us, right? There's always been things that connect black people, and there's always been people who were black in America who were woke, as we say now, woke enough to understand that their linkage was to back home, right? I believe a couple episodes ago I brought up Marcus Garvey, right? And even more recently or even further back, and I'm pretty sure you've got like a very interesting story that grew into a big thing for back home. So.
And what made me want to share this Black History story,
because it is Black History Month.
because it's Black History Month, 365. And so what I wanted to share this is that it ties into also African history, which is also Black history, right?
Big facts.
Let's not subject Black history to just one part of the world, even though I'm not taking the light off of American blacks, right? Because I want to shine the light on all blacks around the world.
Exactly.
Right? Because black is bigger than just
America.
That's a fact. So a gentleman I want to highlight today is a brother by the name of John Charles Robinson. For those who are not familiar with John Charles Robinson, he did go by the nickname of the Brown Condor. He was an African-American aviator who fought with the Imperial Ethiopian Air Force against Mussolini and the Fascist Italy during the Second Italian and Ethiopian War during 35 to 36, and was also known as the father of the Tuskegee Airmen for his contributions to the program that he helped begin in the Tuskegee Institute, right? So Robinson was born in Florida, a small town called Carabel in 1903. From there, he traveled to Alabama and studied mechanical science at the Tuskegee Institute. Excuse me, I'm tripping over my words today.
That's all right.
After graduating, he went to the aviation school out in Chicago, where he eventually progressed and carried on his career in aviation, and then also going into 1935 as the plight of the World War II was about to start. So a lot of the misconception is World War II started with the invasion of Poland, but actuality, it started with the invasion of Ethiopia, where Mussolini wanted to avenge his Italian loss from the 1890s, when the previous invasion during the plight of the African scramble for
the scramble for Africa,
or the scramble for Africa. Thank you. Where all the nations were, or I would say all the European nations were scrambling to acquire African nations, and
they actually broke it up. They told each other, "Hey, you got this side, you got this, you got this, you got this," and created the countries that we have today. Yeah.
So they basically just started auctioning off. They basically they said, "Hey, you know what? Why don't we throw the countries on the slave blocks.
Yep.
Is essentially what they did, right?
Yeah.
And so in the conquest for Ethiopia, they lost, were defeated, and were embarrassed on the world platform, you would say, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh man, you lost to some Africans, right?
Yep.
So it was a very embarrassing time for the Italians. And so this was his time to avenge his Italian brothers, and this is how we will come back to our glory days, and we will be the Roman Empire once again.
Yep.
Right? So we will start by taking Ethiopia.
Yep.
And so, of course, this is also in a time period where Pan-Africanism is a big, sprawling thing where, like you said, Marcus Garvey and other influences are, promoting Black people and Africans and going back to Africa. This is your roots, this is your home. And so people in America have that connection with Africa, and seeing that there was a remaining African nation left, and that the independence was at risk, which also they saw as a larger risk for Blacks in Africa's attempt for independence at the time, right?
Yep.
Everyone is fighting for their independence, and this remaining country's current independence is being a threat. So if you took down their independence, it would, in total, almost crumble the dream of independence for more than just itself.
Yep, you got it.
And so he volunteered to want to go out there to Ethiopia and help train forces, right? So he was he sent out and was brought in by Emperor Haile Selassie to come and train pilots. So he came to Ethiopia, trained the pilots up, and in that moment, he was also quickly promoted to colonel of the Air Force. So now he was in charge of the Air Force and building that up. And of course,
Air Force in Ethiopia.
Yes, the Air Force in Ethiopia.
Yep.
So as he was out there helping them resist colonial conquest, what happened was, of course, this is an Italian army that had been preparing for years for this. So you're talking about one of the strongest militaries in the world at the moment. That they didn't stand a chance.
You're
right?
talking about
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
They didn't have a chance against that Air Force, but he did all he could. But unfortunately, he finally, his year there, he fought bravely, helped train a lot of it, and had, to save himself, they helped him escape as well, right?
Yeah.
While a lot of the leaders were fleeing, so they could avoid colonialization, right? Mm-hmm. So as he got out, eventually, he went back to America. The war happened. The British came. All history, so forth. Mm-hmm. But eventually, he comes back to Ethiopia, right? Mm-hmm. And now he's considered to be part of the beginning of aviation in Ethiopia. Furthermore, now you're bringing in all the commercial airlines he's helping train and so forth. And unfortunately, at the age of 49, he died while flying, flying out the planes, testing in Ethiopia. So he actually died in Ethiopia, and he's currently buried out there. So
no shit.
Yeah. So
wow.
Basically, the brown condor is an Ethiopian hero.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have this Black American.
Yep.
Who is considered an Ethiopian hero.
Yeah, and essentially one of the creators of the Ethiopian Air Force.
Yeah, and
helped create what essentially is now Ethiopian Airlines.
Exactly.
Damn, the biggest company in Ethiopia.
Yeah. So that's why I always look at my fellow Habeshas and East Africans. I'm like, hey, don't watch how you start talking about people, because once we start dialing back,
yeah,
we have a stronger connection than what you might think.
Exactly. There's always been a big connection with Black people around the world, especially in America, in Jamaica, with Ethiopia, and so it's good that we continue to connect the dots here. And like you said, be a little more mindful and understand that, we're not as far apart as you may think. No. You know what I mean? We're really connected. So I like that. I appreciate this one, Mr. Funkadelic.
Thank you, man.
This was a very good one, very educational piece.
Yeah, man. And what's great, man, is villagers, man, for the rest of this month, our remaining episodes, we will gear it towards Black history and Blackness in itself, and just celebrating our Blackness and having these conversations that further the Black culture and the African culture and unifying all of that in one, because granted, that's what the village is. The village is about bringing people together, right? We're not about separating, and we're not going to take those routes of one that's better than the other, because it's not the case.
Nope, absolutely
We're
not.
not gonna promote that white agenda here. We are Pan-Africanists.
That's it. And we all won.
Yes. And one last thing I know I want to say,
Go ahead.
one of my favorite quotes from an Erykah Badu song, that's just gonna, because, you know, black is power. If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. Most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same.
That's so deep, man.
Stay black.
The villages.
Yes, sir.